Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, brothers and sisters, and my Professor Griff boys, welcome to the Rap Sheet Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're still in the off season, you know what I'm saying? Taking a hiatus just to, clear the air and get ready for 2024. We don't celebrate the holidays over here, but it's just time with the wife. But those that are married or in relationships know what that's about. But while we are here, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take this opportunity to say thank y'all for checking this out, whether you're watching us now in real time or you're catching this later. We appreciate you taking the time out to support our little movement that we got going on over here. We are the Rap Sheet Podcast, where creative and culture meet. My name is Mr. DJ Dazzle, and I'm the host extraordinaire. And we got a very, very special episode tonight. My man's already up in the place. So without further ado, we have an amazing truth speaker right now. Truth speaker. Let that etch in your head real quick, because whenever he's on the microphone, that's all he does is speak the truth. Plain and simple. But he's also a loving husband, educator, teacher, what else? MC, of course, independent, black-owned, and running things. And even though this may be said in humor, it's true what I'm about to say. This man has the dopest collection of scented oil that you definitely need to be a part of. I think he's the only one I buy oils from whenever I come into Boston. So, brothers and sisters, you're looking to get if you need to smell good without worrying about breaking out and all that, my man's got you covered. But aside from that, he has one of the illest catalogs of music, put everything out independently, speaking the way that he wants to speak, and he does it to perfection every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, the God MC, the microphone master, the man himself, the king is here. AMB is in the building, y'all. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, brother? How's everything with you?
I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm blessed, brother. I am blessed and highly favored. I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you for taking the time out to just rock out with me and engage in great conversation. And we're just going to have a fun and amazing time just shooting the breeze and all that amazing good stuff. So let's get things started. First and foremost, sir, thank you for taking the time out to be here.
Yep.
And let's just kick it right in. Let's start from the very beginning. Who is African Man Born, and how did hip-hop change your life?
Well, African Man Born is I'm a grown MC that came from the same streets that a lot of other rappers came from, but I chose a different route and chose different words and chose a different point of view on how to deliver hip-hop music. These are my words too. Hip-hop to me has went on an ill decline in the past 30 years. You know, and we have 50 years of hip-hop, 30 of them has been a decline. And we need more balance. So African Man Born decided to grow to bring that balance, to be one of those catalysts of balance with the other MCs like Nas and the J Electronica, the J Cole's, the Kendrick Lamar's, to bring that essence, because you can't bring the 80s back, but you can change what hip hop is for children that are coming up that don't really understand where it started and how it was developed from the 70s all the way up until 2023. You know what I mean? So my whole purpose in being African Man Born, born in Roxbury, raised youngest of 4 children, went to college just like the rest of my siblings. I left college, started my own business at 25 for the music. Battle rapper. I won all of my battles that I had. traveled all over the place. You know, performed in different stages from here all the way to Florida to Panama I went to Costa Rica, all the different places. Came back to Boston because Boston is the brain here. The brain of the brain of the beast is here, and we have to change the narrative of what hip hop is. And you definitely have to do it from home, and then spread it out once you go to different places and let them know that Boston is hip hop as well. With that being said, it's not about getting rich. It's about fulfilling the people's minds with the truth and giving people the truth unapologetically. Hip hop is an unapologetic culture. If you listen to Poor Righteous Teachers, you listen to the Jungle Brothers, you listen to X Clan. These are people that influence me. You listen to all of these different groups, KRS One, Boogie Down Productions. You listen to all of these different groups. They were unapologetic. Tribe Called Quest, you know what I'm saying? Wu-Tang Clan, which is my favorite. And then when you listen, even Tupac, right? So when you listen to these different artists, these are the artists that influence me, plus the ones in Boston, like Ed.O.G., like Rex, like Terminology. You know what I'm saying? So these are people that built what African Man Born is about. But now I have my road, and now I have my say, and now I have my voice. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much who I am. Now I'm in my 40s, so it's a grown man stage. So now when I rhyme, I'm rhyming like it's a grown man, like for real. Like I kind of matured early, but at the end of the day, now I'm a grown man now. You see these grays in my face, so so I can't. You like somebody my age can't do what these young cats is doing. You got to be able to elevate the message, elevate the mind, elevate your performance, elevate your whole persona, and you're still hip hop. And you still got to show them that, at the end of the day, hip hop has lasted this long because it can grow. It has grown as a culture. So now we need to grow the culture within the industry, or create our own industries that allow it to grow.
Amen and amen and amen. Big brother Sadi, I see you in the room. Salute. If you do have questions for AMB, feel free to post them in the chat. But please understand, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to have him on the screen, so please don't be offended. I love the fact that y'all are here. Feel free to ask questions, and if we have time later and he allows it, we'll bring you up, and then you can join in the conversation. But I really want to give this man his time and his flowers, so please be mindful of that, and please don't take it personally while we do what we came to do. Let's take it back to, I want to say maybe late 70s, early 80s. Salute to Kool Herc, Grand Wizard Theodore, DXT, some of the early pioneers of the DJ culture of it all. But what I'm trying to understand, and I have this conversation with many people, both young and old, different ethnicities and everything, just to try to get their point of view on it. But religion played a heavy part in what we do.
Yep.
Whether you were a black spade, a 5%er, an Israelite, whatever you were, that language really became the catalyst for hip hop when it kind of started out. You mentioned groups like Clan. I don't know if you mentioned Public Enemy, but you did mention BDP, and you mentioned PRT, and a lot of people like that who really spoke knowledge of self type vibes in the early going. How influential was that time frame, that period of music to you? How influential was that to you, and why?
It was the biggest influence to me because they came out in the 80s, a lot of them. And because the 80s, I was a child. So like I was born in 1979. So I was born like at least 4 to 5 months before Sugar Hill Gang came out with Rapper's Delight, right? So I'm practically an 80s baby. You know what I'm saying? You come out and all you're hearing is music with knowledge. All you're hearing is music about parties. All you're hearing is music about having a good time, the peace, love, unity, and having fun. So you hear that as a little child growing up. By the time I turned 14, right, I was already conditioned to want to think. You know what I'm saying? Like the music that I listened to, Heavy D, Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, you know what I'm saying, Dougie Fresh. These were the people that I started listening to. You know what I'm saying? LL Cool J. I talked about this on the radio yesterday about Sucker MCs was the first hip hop song that I fell in love with, right? And then I started hearing all of these different songs that had different lyrical content, right? So by the time BDP came out, I was 7 going on 8. All right. By the time Rakim came out, same age, because he came out in 86, 87, right? Then I heard, so when you're hearing all of this, you're hearing Paid in Full, you're hearing Let the Rhythm Hit Him, you're hearing My Melody at 6, 7 years old. That's your influence. That's your first influence on hip hop. Then get to the 90s as a teenager. I don't want to hear too much other type of rap other than the stuff with knowledge, because I was conditioned as a kid to be like, yo, I want to hear something that makes you think, right? So now here comes Wu-Tang, here comes Gangstar, here comes Tribe Called Quest in 89, here comes even Rob Bass with his joints, and his joints was pretty simple, but I loved it, right? Did I take to MC Hammer? No, not really, but I love MC Hammer now. Why? Because I understood what he was bringing to the table. Too Short actually dropped a little bit of knowledge before, like the whole pimp thing that he was doing. If you ever heard the old school pimp, Too Short, he was dropping a little knowledge. He wasn't the most stylish rapper, but he had some knowledge, and he was kicking it back then. EPMD. Well, EPMD is one of my favorite groups of all time. You know what I'm saying? You got so many different De La Soul. De La Soul is one of the biggest groups when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So when I talk to these kids about those groups, they don't really get it because the groups they're listening to, and no disrespect to any of these groups, right, that are coming out now, and these rappers coming out now, because you have your thing, right? And I try not to judge them these days, you know what I'm saying? Because before I would, you know what I'm saying? But like when it comes to these groups now, they can't match up to those groups that pioneered hip hop groups. I mean, we had groups that Busta Rhymes said something key. He said, we grew up in an era where we was like allowed you to think, where it was cool to think. And I remember that even in my era where like it was cool to think, because girls didn't like dudes that couldn't think. You know what I'm saying? Girls didn't like dudes that couldn't think. People didn't like people that couldn't think. And how you broke those racial barriers back then, even in the 80s and 90s, if you had some intelligence, people would kind of take to you a little bit more. You dressed hip hop, you had the baggy clothes and the hoodies and the cross colors and all that. But if you had some intelligence, they'd be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Because their perception got outweighed by your intelligence. So when you went into a place, you knew how to speak street, you knew how to speak hip hop, and then you knew how to be corporate, right? And you knew how to speak that way, dealing with, because it's a language at the end of the day. So that music that influenced me back then, you know what I mean, shaped me to who I am now, because I'll never forget those days. I will never forget Heavy D, rest in peace. I'll never forget even like Gangstar's from here. You know what I'm saying? I never forget Guru from Gangstar. Never forget all of these guys. So then when Wu-Tang came out, they really solidified me on what I wanted to do this. The Wu-Tang, Method Man, GZA, Raekwon, all of them, right? Nas was my favorite when he came out with Illmatic. So these were my biggest influences. So when you have all of these influences, look at the lyrics that they drop. Anybody that's young that's on here, right? Listen to those people I just named. If you've never heard them, listen to Wu-Tang, listen to Nas, listen to Heavy D, and you'll understand why I think the way I think. Listen to KRS-One, and you'll understand the way I think. It's one thing that KRS-One said is that any MC can battle for glory, but to write a dope rhyme to wake up your people is another story, right? When he said that on Rappers Are in Danger, the third verse, right? That is me. That's like when he said that, it spoke to me before I started rapping. Like really before I started taking it serious, because I started rapping in 94. You know what I'm saying? 93, 94. He came out with that in 95, 96. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's what hip hop was a big time influence, because it allowed me to express myself, but it also allowed me to express myself with some sense. You know what I'm saying? And even though there was a lot of street music out there I listened to, I knew how to balance it out because I had that knowledge when I was a little kid. You know what I mean?
Wow. That was a mouthful, ladies and gentlemen. Interview's over. Ain't got nothing else to say. Just kidding. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just taking a pause in the action just to say that I've interviewed AMB so many times, and yet it never seems to amaze me that I get to learn something new, or I get to ask him questions that I never got to ask him. And this is one of those questions. The media. Throughout the 50 years that we have been taking over the industry, the media has played a pivotal role in how we're seen, how we're heard, how we're digested, if you will. But what I think, and this is just strictly my opinion, I want you to speak on this. I think the media today gives a different viewpoint, but similar viewpoint as to how it was back in the 80s and 90s, because back then we didn't have YouTube, Facebook, MySpace, social media. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have all these platforms that you see now. So a lot of the stuff that happened then, most of it was just word of mouth, because we didn't have any means of showing it unless it was on CNN or C-SPAN or your local news station. Now, in today's generation, all you gotta do is turn your phone on. Especially with the police, which is, I still think, the biggest gang in the street that basically can get away with anything. But we're gonna talk about that as we proceed to give you what you need. But my question is, in our time, how did you see the media as a positive solution to what we were doing? And how did you see the media as a negative disruptance to what we was trying to do? Speak on that real quick.
I think that the media had positives in getting the artists and the DJs and the culture out there for the world to enjoy, in the sense of when they were speaking on just the music and how it sounded and what it was doing for the positive of the kids and all that, and the artists that were changing their lives. I think that there were some media like I wouldn't consider Arsenio Hall media, but I would definitely could say Arsenio Hall was probably the biggest help to getting our culture out there. And the reason why is because when nobody was playing hip hop on these shows like Johnny Carson and all them and Jay Leno, when they did the overnight show, Arsenio Hall did. And even he gave so much praise to hip hop that his last show that when this show went out off the air, it was nothing but your favorite hip hop artists there, from Boogie Down Productions to Wu-Tang Clan to Tribe Called Quest. Everybody was there. Rakim was there. You know what I'm saying? Queen Latifah, everybody, MC Light. And that to me was a testament to the positive of media, right? Yo MTV Raps, Rap City, at the time when it was authentic, not like the Joe Claire and the Big Les and all of them. That was like the authentic Donnie Simpson from BET. That was the authentic hip hop media. Yeah. The negative.
Before you go into the negative, let me just also add, going back to Arsenio Hall, it wasn't just the hip hop artists that he interviewed. He would bring Louis Farrakhan on the show. He brought Muhammad Ali on the show.
And Tyson.
You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson, Eddie Murphy. Like, he would just bring prominent figures of our culture, not just music related.
Yeah.
I remember the time when he had Ali on the show, and he asked Ali, he's like, if you could do anything else besides boxing, what would it have been? And Ali just paused for a second, and he said, I wanted to be the first black man to walk on the moon. And I'll never forget that moment. Never forget that moment. Out of every question that he asked Ali, and that was one of the best interviews that Ali ever did, but that thing right there, and I'm like, you know what? If he wanted to, he could have done it.
I mean, Ali is an icon in himself. Yeah. Rest in peace to him. Ali is my favorite boxer because of my uncle. Because I was too young to see, like I was a baby when Ali retired, right? And I was a big Mike Tyson guy, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew up watching Mike Tyson. My dad used to watch Mike Tyson. I used to watch it with him. He used to beat up people, right? My uncle was like, you want to see a real boxer? And he played tapes. And because he watched them because my uncle, my uncle was born in like the 50s. So, you know what I mean? So at the time, he would say, yo, I want to show you a real boxer. And not to say, and he loved Mike Tyson, but he said, I want to show you who Mike Tyson looked up to, right? Yeah. And he showed me tapes of Muhammad Ali. And what got me with Muhammad Ali, to be honest with you, and this is very hip hop of me, was the fact that he rhymed before he beat you up. Yeah. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like to sit there and tell somebody that and people don't understand, like the movie that Will Smith did, Ali.
Which Will Smith did.
He mastered it. It's just that, man. Like what people don't understand, like especially I don't know if you've seen the part. Remember the part when he was coming back into boxing and he wanted to fight Joe Frazier or something like that, and that rhyme that he put on in with Howard Cosell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And these are things that Ali did off the dome. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was like he didn't go in there and write that joint. He was just talking trash. You know what I'm saying? And to me, Ali, James Brown, Last Poets, these are the people that ushered in what we know as MCing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's MCing. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the elements that we took from poetry. You see what I'm saying? And that's what really attracted me to Ali. So it's kind of funny that I'm an MC now. You know what I mean? Like next year is 30 years for me. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And it's like in the 30 years, I didn't drop a project for the first 9. I was trying to work on my craft because honestly, I wasn't even that good when I first started. I just liked it. And then, I want to say around 98 is when I started really getting good at it. And then I started battling because I had to actually have battles. You know, you had to battle. Like you couldn't be an MC if you didn't have at least one battle. You know what I'm saying? And I had to have battles, you know what I'm saying? And that's where see these protocols that we had in the street back then, they're missing now. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at people like Ali and all of them, they influence hip hop heavily. You know what I'm saying? So the media, to get back to the media question, the negatives of the media, what the Vibe magazine did with East Coast, West Coasting. I felt like they influenced that a little bit too much, where 2 of these men were martyrs now. A lot of hip hop media, like hip hop media in the sense of these people don't know what hip hop is, they know what rap is, and they influence beef. Some of the radio stations that talk about nothing but garbage, but they don't talk about the music. If you think about it, most of these stations now don't talk about the artistry and the music and the culture. You know what I'm saying? Even when you have 50 years of hip hop celebrations, right? They don't talk about the four to 5 key elements: DJing, breaking, graffiti, MCing, and they don't talk about the knowledge. You know what I mean? So if you don't talk about these things, then you're not really talking about the culture. You're just talking about rap music. You know what I'm saying? And when you're talking about rap music, right, you're limiting what the culture is for the world to see. So now the world sees it, hip hop as just rap music. They don't even talk about the DJs. The DJ, to our knowledge, was the foundation. That's why every time I do a show, you did my show, so every time I did a show, what did I always say at the end of the show after I was done rocking the mic and sweating and all that other stuff? I say, give shout out to the DJ, because the DJ is the foundation, and you would always hear your name. You know what I'm saying? If you ever DJ my show, you, DJ Riz Boogie, Bobby Bangers, Nomadic, who DJ'd my shows. 4 DJs that DJ'd my shows.
Don't forget Dex.
And Dex DJ'd my shows. And I always give props to the DJs. You know what I'm saying? I've always said, listen, give it props to the DJs because the DJs are the foundation of this culture. If it wasn't for them, your music wouldn't even be heard. You know what I'm saying? So, and they were the reason why you have all the DJ like Scratching and Grand Wizard Theodore, the Crossfader with Flash and all that other stuff. You wouldn't have any of that if it wasn't for the DJ. You know what I mean? So that's why it's very important that you acknowledge the DJs, and they took that out of there. Like, and if you think about it, you don't really hear about DJs as much because of the way the game is now. The game is more like digital. You don't have to have a DJ according to the industry, but in the culture, we acknowledge these things. You know what I'm saying? So the negatives of the industry is that they play on more of the nostalgia of negativity than the actual music. You know what I mean?
Let's also let's credit the media as well, because people like Paris, Intelligent Hoodlum, X-Clan, PRG would touch on what is going on at those respected times. But a lot of people really didn't see what we were talking about, so they was just like, oh, these are just angry black men talking this and that. But let's credit the media for showing what we were talking about. LA riots, for instance. Perfect example of exactly what we were talking about when we kept saying F the police. Here's why we're saying F the police. We're not saying all police are bad. We're not saying that every police precinct in every city and state and town and whatever isn't doing it for the right reasons. We're just talking about the ones that are doing it for the wrong reasons. And when they showed the police beating up Rodney King, I was like, finally, here's a visual of what we've been trying to tell y'all is happening. Now you're seeing what we've been talking about for years at a time before this came to fruition. Unfortunately, it got worse as the years progressed, because we've seen everything that's happened from Trayvon Martin all the way up to, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, to Tyree Nichols, who was massively beat down by black cops. But it's out there. Now, I'm glad we have all this technology now where anyone can just pull out a phone and show you exactly what we've been talking about for 30 years, 40 years.
I think it's key to be responsible when you're media. So me, I kind of do media nowadays with my podcasting. So it's and I do that because it's another form of expressing not just the culture, but expressing what's going on in our communities and what we need to be thinking about. And there is a hip hop group here in Mass, in Brockton. They're brothers, Mark Slade, Michael Slade, Regime Boys. They put together a podcast, and everybody should check it out, for mental health. You know what I'm saying? And it's dope because they put together the mental health aspect, but they also talk about financial literacy. They talk about sports. They put the sports to buffer things out. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we love sports. You know what I'm saying? So it buffers things out. You know what I mean? So shout out to Mark Slade and Michael Slade for what they do with the rant. It comes on every Mondays, and it's dope because they're hip hop. They're attacking they're attacking issues that we don't talk about, which is mental health. Mental health is an issue in our community that we don't address at all. And I always talked about mental health, but I felt like nobody was listening to me. You know what I'm saying? And now that you see people out there other than yourself that's talking about mental health and talking about these things, it makes me feel good that people actually are studying and paying attention and trying to change the narrative of what it is, especially for black folks. You know what I mean?
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just now tuning in, we have King AMB, African man born, who is just dropping jewel after jewel after jewel. But before we get all immersed in it, I also want to bring it back a little bit and let's talk about your rhyme style, the way that you write your records, and everything like that. Because I always ask every MC or artist that comes on that everyone writes differently or puts their music together in different fashion. When you are writing, and I've had the pleasure of seeing it in person because we've worked together, but for those that haven't, describe your writing style. How you write it? Do you already have it already written out? Do you write it to the beat when you're in the studio? Like, for those that don't know how you curate your music, talk on that real fast for the masses.
So every song that I write is based on a feeling, and if I'm feeling a certain way, I have the subject in my head and it stays there. Mm-hmm. So I will never forget what I want to talk about. If I start writing a verse, depending on energy and how tired I am or how not tired I am, you know what I'm saying, I would write the whole verse. If I'm in writing mode, I will sit at the house at this desk right here where I do this podcast, right? And if I'm in writing mode, I will write about 5 songs a day, right? And it will take me about 30 minutes to write a 3-verse, 16 bars, 8-bar hook. It'll take me that because now I'm in that writing mode. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you're eating. Your mouth prepares itself to eat. You know what I'm saying? Your stomach, mouth starts to salivate. Everything is just preparation. So that's how writing is for me. It's like you get to that point where you're like, all right, I'm gonna talk about this. That's how my albums are created. My albums are created pretty much when I have these writing sessions and I write about 5 songs. That's gonna be on the album. So now I have the next 5, the next 5, the next 5. So that's why you see 18-track albums, 20-track albums. I just did a 30-track mixtape in November, right? And I recorded that all from October to November, you know what I'm saying? And it was a mode for me, you know what I'm saying? The CD that's coming out in January, same thing. I was in a writing mode, so I was writing all of this, and then it was like, okay, I already know what beats I want them to, especially for the mixtapes are easy. When it comes to your instrumentals, of course, you got to have the beats for them. Yeah. But I don't really write the beats. I don't really write the beats. I put the beats have to catch up to the rhyme. You know what I'm saying? Because you're making the beat stand out. As an MC, you're supposed to make the beat stand out. This is what my argument is when people say that Nas picks bad beats. It's not that Nas picks bad beats, it's that the beat got to catch up to him. You know what I'm saying? Because when he did Ether wasn't the best beat, but Ether was one of the greatest songs of all time. You know what I'm saying? So that's where an MC is not supposed to follow a beat. You're supposed to make that beat what it is. So like songs like God MC, I didn't even pen. You know what I'm saying? Cosmos, I didn't pen down. I was in that mode where I came off the top, right? God MC came off the top. Power of a Black Man came off the top. So I've pretty much know how to write, know how to freestyle, know how to do things on all different. So I'm never out of tune when it's time to put out a record. You know what I'm saying? So my most consistent rhyme style is just writing them joints before I even hit the studio. And now that I have a studio in the house, that's like I just sit here, you know what I'm saying?
Game over.
I just pick a day and I know how to mix down and master now. So for me, it's like, you know what I mean? I can go in there and shout out to Genius because Genius gave me a lot of pointers. You know what I mean? And Genius still makes beats for me. So it's not that I just stopped not messing with Genius. It's just that I know how to do these things on my own now. So now I can just relax and because I got so many records. I got like 35 projects. I don't know. I lost count now. You know what I mean? I know I got about, when it comes to albums, like actual official albums that you hear on Spotify and all of them, probably there's about 15 of those. And then the rest of mixtapes. And the mixtapes, I don't know. You know what I mean?
There's way too many. Wow. Over the years, we've seen different styles, genres, culture moves, if you will, really make our culture as progressive as it was, even in today's generation with it. But let's just be honest. For us old men, hip hop is really now a young man's game, and I credit these youngsters. I may not like everything they say. I may not agree with what they do, but I have to give them credit upon credit for them just having a voice and standing on that voice and being leaders of today's generation to show that, yeah, we may be new and we're not Slick Rick, we're not Dougie, we're not Tribe, we're not KRS, we're not PE, we're not De La, we're not none of these people that came way before us, but all we want is just to be heard and respect. You don't have to like what we say, but because even in our day when we had the NWAs and the Cool G raps and all that, everyone's like, what is this jungle music y'all listening to? What is, you know, I mean, the old people back in our day were like, yeah, that's mumble rap to them. And we can't say that everything is mumble rap today because we have people like Chance the Rapper, we have Ludacris, we have J. Cole, we have Royce the 5'9". We've got all these artists that are coming out in the, you know, post 2K era, Little Brother and everything. You know, even Migos and Ray Schmimmer. I know I always butcher these people's names half the time, but I gotta give it. I'm like, yo, these people got heat. They got bangers out that hit hard. Will I record their shows? No. But I had to take a step back and respect the next generation of MCs that are coming up. That may do it different than how we did it. But does that mean we disrespect them? No. So my question to you is, when you encounter the next generation that are going to come up after you, or people you've already met and everything that may not speak the same language as you, is it easier for you to, I wouldn't say is it easier, how do you make it easy to, how can I say, intertwine and mess with these artists that are coming up in the next generation after you? And how, you know, what is your approach when you're talking to these young artists that rap differently, speak on different subjects than you, but still have that urge and demand to be respected, which they should? How do you address them?
I only address them by way of showing them what I can still do at the age that I'm at. And when they have questions, because a lot of them do, especially when I can touch a style that they have that they feel is new. And what I usually tell youngsters is that there's nothing new on this planet. So I'm going to respect what you do because you have a dream and you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And my whole thing on respect is a two-way street. The OGs need to respect the young cats just because they exist, and this is what we went through. But the difference with what we went through, and I'm gonna say this, what we went through with our parents didn't understand hip-hop, period, because it was something that they just did not get in tune with. We understand hip-hop. We're older, we understand hip-hop, so we should have more of a knowledge of how to deal with the young cats on that level, even if we don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I tell you, I don't like a lot of music, right? But I will respect you because you have a dream and it's keeping you out the street. You know what I'm saying? It's keeping you doing your thing. So do your thing. But the thing is, I say respect the ones that were here before you. I'm not telling you to bow down to me. I'm saying respect those people that were here before you, because these are the foundations of what you do. Just like we had a foundation.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Respect each other's craft. Like, yo, you know, ain't like ask questions, especially if you're young. Ask questions. Like I was looking up to the Uno the Prophets and LOGs back then.
Yeah. And
I didn't necessarily understand what they was on when I was listening to them. So what did I do? I asked questions, but I'm a different individual. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell them. And I understand that a lot of these young cats are actually intimidated by fame when they're intimidated by and I think it all right, so they're intimidated by a lot of reaction to their stuff. They do things and they don't know how to respond to reaction. I did a show last week, Wednesday, I hosted, And this young dude, he had his message, he had like that emo rap, right? But his content was kind of dope. So I said, yo, I'll film your video. He didn't really know how to respond when I said that. Like, see, if I came out with a song, right, at his age, and some dude said, yo, I'll film your video for free because I like that joint, I'm gonna be excited, like, yo, we can do it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm different. I come from a different era, you know what I'm saying? These dudes don't, they're kind of intimidated because they think nobody likes them. They're really emotionally attached to their feelings. That's why they get mad. If you ever heard a dude say, like, if you ever hear me say, yo, I don't like that type of music over there, they really get like bothered by that. So we actually have to change our approach as the OGs because we know how that feels. We know how that feels, but they feel it 10 times. So we got to kind of approach them differently. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like certain things, I don't even say certain things anymore because of that reaction, because really these kids are kind of borderline suicidal depending on where they come from. You know what I'm saying? So if they're borderline suicidal or they come from that borderline suicidal era, which is what this era is now, you know what I'm saying? You have to kind of approach them differently. Like, listen, you know, I like that. Work with them and then understand them. The case in point, when Janet Jackson first came out with Control. She had dropped 2 albums before that were trash. You know what I'm saying? To the world, right? A lot of people thought was trash, right? But she worked with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and now she's like Janet Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but what did they do? They said, we actually sat down with Janet and talked to her about what she was thinking and how she was feeling. We have to do that with these kids because these kids are borderline, man. Like, and I don't understand it. That's why they like. I tell people all the time, these kids look older than we do. Why? Because they're stressed and nobody wants to hear them. And I get it, because when you get older, you don't want to hear all that noise that these kids are saying, right? In the sense of the subject matter and certain things. But if you're into a culture like me, I'm into a culture where I teach, so I have to deal with that noise. You see what I'm saying? And understand where the noise is coming from and why it's being projected. Because so when I go to a show and I do my thing, a lot of those kids come up to me. They be like, yo, like I remember some young people, they came up to me after I did Challenge and I did Purpose of Hip Hop and I did In Your Face, right? Those are pretty much my biggest songs, that and Speak the Truth and 9 Reasons. Those are like my biggest songs. So I can perform them anywhere, any age. They'll listen to them. So when they hear them, they approach me. And I don't turn them back, even though I might not like what they did. You know what I mean? They might have performed over their whole album, over the vocals and all that. And I give them the same respect that they're giving me because, one, they approach me, but two, it's like I understand how they're feeling because they're afraid to actually talk to us. They are. Because they think we're just going to be like, oh, y'all suck. That's our era. Our uncles used to say that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all suck. And that's what got us better. We're different. But like I said, again, we're different. Somebody said you sucked back when you was 14. You're going to try to figure it out on how to impress them or just sound better than them or sound better than you did when they said you sucked back then. Right? These kids, you can't tell them that. You can tell a 14-year-old they suck. They might they might lose their mind, man. Because they grew up differently. They're tough. There's not that tough love. It doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know if it's love or not. You know what I'm saying? So we got to approach it with that same love but we just got to be different with it. We got to understand them a little bit more. We got to talk to them. We got to actually want to hear them. You know what I mean?
Amen and amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got AMB live and direct. We ain't got too much more time because I know he's got a busy schedule, working man to the fullest, blue collar ethic and everything, and I totally respect that. I interviewed rapper Big Pooh some time ago, maybe like 6-7 months ago. I really don't remember, but we talked about the importance of showmanship when on stage. And there's many aspects to showmanship. Yes, energy, remembering your lyrics, stage presence, and all that. But one of the biggest, let me not say biggest, and I'm going to take it back to Rusty. Salute to Rusty the Toe Jammer. Salute to Mr. Funky Fresh. This is something he always stressed when we were at the Dublin House during the nights that he would have. The one thing that he always said to the younger generation, and this is something that I see happen a lot with MCs that are well over the age of 21. Meek Mill is a great example of this. Nicki Minaj does it too. It pains me to say that an MC is good. I love everything I hear musically, whatever. But when I go to your live show, it hurts my feelings when I hear you rapping over your own voice. Why? Okay, I won't say why does it happen for whatever reason, but it pains me that these $1 million artists that got big budgets can't take their ass to a studio and get studio tracks for your performance. Jay does it, Nas does it, The Lox do it, P. Diddy did it, like Ludacris did it, Rod Digger, and Master Ace. Even some of the commercial cats, Lil Wayne, Fabulous, Rick Ross, they understand the culture enough to say, you know what? Chuck D and all these greats that came before us showed you how to rhyme on stage. And you can have a backing track with voices, certain parts that come in on certain songs. But if these generals of the new generation can get it, why is this still a struggle in hip hop where certain artists have to rap over their own voice? Like I don't understand. So for someone in your stature that is an MC that sees this, what is your reaction to it? And if you're on the bill with people who do this and you're the stand-up that doesn't, do you pull these people aside and say, hey, I have resources that can help you get show tracks? But aside from that, what is your mindset to people who don't take this culture seriously enough to do something as simple as get show tracks? I mean, there's so many other factors we could talk about. That seems to be the main one that recycles over and over and over again. Speak on that and the importance of how important it is to have your stuff prepared for when you're about to step live on stage, no matter how big
it's important to have your show track, and it's important to understand how to rap over raw tracks. It's because if you don't have a show track or a raw track, you're not going to be able to go on a live instrument. Like, you're not going to be able to do live instrument shows, which that, like Black Thought, Nas, Jay, they've mastered that. They have bands. So, and if you're seeing a lot of hip hop shows now, like some of the ones that you talk about, we got to remember those guys came up in an era where showmanship was a part of the whole profession. These days, it's more of put out a record, go on the internet, and get your fame by trolling. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you spend most of your time trolling, you ain't gonna spend your time in the studio rehearsing your music, which your music on stage is what makes you the money. So if that's what makes you the money, you want to give the best representation of yourself. So I tell you right now, I've done shows where if your music could get messed up and you had to go raw a cappella, if you don't know how to rap your song a cappella, then you don't know your song. You know what I'm saying? If you can sit there and put a beat on and be like, yo, Daz, the beat's not showing up. All right, Daz, let's just do this beat right here. Give me a J. Rule Damager beat, and I'm gonna do microphone master over that. I'm gonna do challenge over this beat. You know what I'm saying? Or what? You know what I mean? You should be able to do that because the MC works on their craft. It's not just a God gift. Right? Let me tell you something. Supernatural, one of the greatest freestylers of all time, if not the greatest freestyle of all time. He worked on his craft of words, on why he can freestyle for hours, because he's worked on his craft of learning words and how to rhyme words together and make it make sense. So if somebody like that who has a God gift to freestyle, work on his craft, then you have the responsibility to your craft. So if you're gonna be a performer, you can't be a great MC or a great rapper if you can't perform. I just tell you that right now. So when I hear it over their track, it takes away from the energy of the song. When I go on stage, right, I make sure that you hear me. You know what I'm saying? you could turn that beat off. You should still be able to feel the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that you know your stuff without the beat, know your stuff with the beat, and know how to do it to other beats, and know how to do it to live music. Yeah. That takes work if you don't do it already. There's songs I don't even have to rehearse. You know what I'm saying? I can do In Your Face over a djembe. You know what I'm saying? I can, you know, and I've done it before. You know what I'm saying? I can do it. You know, so it because the beat wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? And I had my boy there. He had a djembe drum, and he just boom, doom, doom, doom. And I was, you know, what are we living for? What are we dying for? You know what I'm saying? And then it was like it came out perfect, right? So you should be able to adjust yourself. This is the reason why, like, people like Betty Wright, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, they can keep the party going. One, because they can sing. Two, because they sing live. And MCs should be able to go live. You know, that's why I call it a live show. You know what I'm
saying? Perfect. That was a very, very. I couldn't even have said it better myself. I'm gonna give two examples because you just mentioned singing in R&B and hip hop. So I'm gonna give two examples of. First, let's talk about the Lox. When they were doing the versus battle with Dipset. The Lox rehearsed for that like it was a show. It was just a versus battle, and you're just basically doing your 20 best records. But the Lox is like, nah, bro, this is a show. We diligently rehearsed for this like it was a show. And shout out to technician, the DJ that knew the assignment and knew it well. Whoever Dipset's DJ was that night did not know the assignment, but that's what it is.
He probably didn't have one though.
Styles, Jada, and Sheik. Every time I watch that, I'm like, this is what a master class of lyricism is supposed to look like on stage. For R&B, and I know you won't disagree with this because no one in their right mind is going to disagree with this. Watching New Edition today.
Exactly.
After 40-something years, still got it. My wife and I went to the Legacy Tour in St. Louis, and when they did like If It Isn't Love and all the videos we've seen forever, to see them still do it with Bobby, who wasn't on the original record, all the dance step as if he was there since day one. I'm like, are y'all watching? Are y'all seeing this? Like, this is New Edition at 50 or damn near. Some of them are almost 60. Still doing it at the highest level. So when you see people like The Roots, you see people like Public Enemy who still, even Run DMC, whatever. I don't think we're going to see Run and D ever again on stage again, but just to see Run at least still have that energy. And Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, who just performed recently, I'm like, yo, these legends still have it. As someone who is grassroots, still knee deep in it, still embodied by what's around them and everything. Are you excited for our culture in what we're seeing, or is there something that is still missing to really push us over the top to let people know that we are truly here to stay? Yeah, we've been here for 50 years and we've survived so many rainstorms and all the naysayers and this and that. But is there something that we haven't tapped into yet that'll bring us over the top to make us the top tier culture that we are? Or are you satisfied with what hip hop has brought, not only you as a fan and as a consumer, but as an artist who brings out stuff for other people to consume?
I would like to see hip hop create, since we have a culture that has been established before it became a genre, right? I would like to see hip hop actually be consistently mature enough to not age rappers. And the reason why I say that is because the genre is a young man's game, but the culture is mature. And I think that the genre should respect the culture and let it mature. You know what I mean? Just like I have these grays in my hair, right? the artist, and I think that it's doing that, and I'm excited for the fact that you can actually be older and do your thing, like Griselda and Nas has still been doing it after 30 something years. It leaves room for guys, not just my age, but guys like Rex, you know what I'm saying? Guys like Edo, who's 52, who I've shook his hand for the first time a month ago. You know what I'm saying? And I watched him, and I told Edo, I watched you when I was 12 years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you came out, I was 12. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, it leaves room for guys like that to excel, not necessarily fame-wise, but to excel to a point where people respect all ages of MCs and rappers and personalities. I want the culture to mature. We're actually building ownership. We need more ownership. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking labels like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a label guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm an independent artist. I'm an independent businessman. Everything is independent, and I work a 9 to 5, right? I'm more of a independent guy than 9 to 5. The 9 to 5 just pays certain bills, while the independence is what keeps me here. You know what I'm saying? And but I want the culture to mature where we do have buildings and even platforms where hip hop wouldn't usually take control. What Nipsey Hussle was doing. Nipsey Hussle was creating an enterprise, and he got cut short. You know what I'm saying? Before he can actually make that happen. But what he did was he pretty much bought a section of Crenshaw. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. Over there in Slauson, he bought a plaza. He owned the plaza, and he was hip hop. So that stuff, where he was creating a digital network for money to be circulated in Black communities. This is what I like to see in the young cats. That's why you have to respect the young cats, because they know how to get their money on the NFTs and all this other things that they know how to do. So you can learn from that being older. You know what I'm saying? Because really, age means nothing, because you're more relatable to these cats. We're more relatable to them than we think, right? It's just that we grew up in a different time, so our mindset is here, while their mindset is where they at. But if we meet on the common ground, we can actually, you know what I'm saying, understand that we're actually on the same plane of thought. So I'm excited for hip hop maturing. I'm excited for hip hop being a little bit more spiritual and balanced. I'm excited for hip hop allowing the elder cats to grow old and still do it. You know what I mean? Like Wu-Tang and Nas touring, that's big. Matter of fact, these young cats need to talk to them on how to keep the interest in your tours, because these guys are just out selling tours, and they were big in the 90s, and they're selling tours out. You know what I'm saying? Mainly because people my age are going to the shows. You know what I'm saying? And what's happening is the young cats are kind of losing out, not because they're doing that, because they haven't built a certain thing that they need. They need to talk to those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me also add that I don't. You say that most of the fan base is 30, 40 plus, which, for the most part it is. But then Nas works with Hit Boy.
Yep.
Hit Boy's not in our age range. He's a pretty young guy. And I knew of Hit Boy, but I'm like, yeah, he makes all these trap beats. Yeah, okay. That's great. I mean, he's doing what he's doing. I know he was with Dre at one time and was mentored by him. But then I heard the first Nas album that he made, and I'm just like, wait a second. I didn't know about this. And so with every album after that, I was like, man, Hit Boy is now in my top 5.
But who do you? So my thing is, who do you attribute that to more, Hit Boy or Nas?
No, I don't attribute it to anything. I mean, I think, first of all, Nas is always going to be Nas. I mean, he's always going to be one of the best voices for the culture, for the business, for the industry, however you want to word it. Nas is always going to be here. But for someone that didn't know who Hit Boy was, and the things I did know about him, I'm like, yeah, he just makes a lot of trap stuff.
The reason why I say that, not to knock Hit Boy, the reason why I say that, is Hit Boy used to work with, he used to work with some trap heads and stuff like that. But because he came across a guy like Nas, he pretty much elevated his musician skills to work with a Nas. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like Teddy Riley, right? He was Teddy Riley, like he's New Jack. Then he worked with Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? On Dangerous. So he elevated from just being a New Jack producer, right? Then he did like 3 or 4 tracks on Dangerous in 1991.
But let's get deeper. Let's get deeper into that. Hit Boy was working with Dre. He was part of Aftermath way back. And Teddy Riley, for those that don't know, he produced the show. Yeah. He's one of the biggest hip hop records. He also produced We Got Our Own Thing.
We Got Our Own Thing. Yep.
I mean, there's so many rap.
He did most of hip. I mean, he did My Prerogative. Yeah. I think he did Don't Be Cruel too. So, I mean, Teddy Riley, and this is why I'm saying, because they're both great. They're both legends. Yeah. Hit Boy is definitely on legendary status. All respect to Hit Boy. I think that Hit Boy knew who he was working with. He's like, I want to work with Nas. He probably always wanted to work with Nas. And he got that opportunity once Nas decided to like, yo, let's do this. And then what Nas did, which I loved, is that he brought the young cats in. He brought the Big Sean's in. He brought some of these cats that I don't even know, but they worked with him. He worked with them when he did what's the joint, Spicy, with the Aesop dude.
Big Sean is a beast, bro.
Yeah, so when he did these joints with them, he elevated them. Yeah. And he also got new fans. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. What Nas is doing is actually that's what I'm excited for, what he's actually done. Especially when people made that rumor about what's this dude? 21 Savage said something negative about Nas or something like that. And then Nas said, okay, let's do a song together. And they end up doing the song together. Yeah. Right? To me, that shows a testament of, that's what I mean by I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the fact that, okay, this is what they said you said. Even if you said it, I don't care. Let's do this track. You know what I'm saying? Because it showed the maturity. And that's the type of stuff, like for the OGs, a lot of us that are older, we need to start bringing in some young cats. You know what I'm saying? We need to start talking to some young cats and influencing young cats. Even if you don't work with them like on music, inspire them so they can continue to grow. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what I'm excited for, man. It's so I hope that a lot of the negative crap kind of gets drowned out. You know what I mean? Because there's too much negative stuff that gets promoted way more than the positive.
Well, speaking of positively promoting stuff, we have not talked about your music yet, and we are not do this interview and not talk about your music. We've done this for so long. So right now, if memory serves me correct, you sent me the challenge not that long ago. Loved it. That's one of your newest records, at least new to me, but it's one of your latest. So what is the latest project either you have out or on the verge of coming out? What do we look out for in 2024?
So, okay, the last three albums that I dropped, I dropped 2 mixtapes in an album this year. One was of Greatest Of, because I celebrated my 20-year anniversary of releasing music in August. But unfortunately, like, I couldn't really do much because my brother passed away in August 16th. So because of that, I just kind of put the record, the CD out, and kind of just dealt with my family as far as my brother's passing. So with that being said, I waited until October. I started recording this new things dedicated to Wu-Tang Volume 2. So if anybody who follows me, they know that I did the Volume 1 to that mixtape. All right. I did a 60-track mixtape in 2020, which was this new things dedicated to Wu-Tang, nothing but Wu-Tang tracks. I did that again, 30 tracks this time, Volume 2, right? I did that within 3 weeks. I put it out November 9th for the 30th anniversary, which is why it's 30 tracks. So you're gonna see a couple videos for that. Cold World, which is the video I'm gonna do, Cold World remake. And the other one is I think the other one's gonna be Cam A with me and Osa. So that so now after that, couple days later, I dropped Vintage, which is my album. I dropped it. This is the album that I produced. 10-track album, Vintage. It's my 15th album. And I produced all the tracks. There's gonna be some videos for that coming in 2024. I'm just gonna wait till it gets warmer. You know what I'm saying? So that's what came out. Spotify, you can get all of these. You can get all the albums on Spotify, but the mixtapes you can only get on AfricanManborn.com, right? So this January 1st, which is if you ever celebrated Kwanzaa, it's Amani at the African American Museum in Roxbury. I'm releasing that CD there. We're doing the big Beyonder Cypher, like we do every year. But we're doing it a little bit differently this year. I'm going to be opening up the cypher and closing out the cypher. So I'm doing a song and I'm doing another song, right? But then there's going to be a cypher in between, which I'm going to be on as well. So it'll be me, Sadi, Osa, Illin P, Big Brother Carr,
and when is
VCR.
When is this happening?
No, January 1st from 4 to 6. At the we call it the Big Head Museum up here, but you know it's the African American Museum. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why they call it the Big Head Museum because it's big dome that's over there when you go.
Right outside. Yep.
Right outside. So this CD that I'm dropping is called the God MC mixtape. I dropped a song called God MC in 2012. So I kind of just took that concept and said, and I actually made a part 2 to God MC, the song. This is the song God MC. There's a part 2 to that song that's going to be on that mixtape, which is eventually going to be on a future album. And I produced that track as well. Genius produced this one that you're hearing.
Yep.
The God MC mixtape is about 25 track mixtape. It's going to have some joints on there that are like mixtape joints, like instrumentals. Mm-hmm. And if you go on Facebook, you heard me. I remade No More Money, More Murder, More Homicide by Nas and AZ. I call it No Drama, No Murder, No Homicide. I remade Nostradamus. I call it Who God Is. I did a freestyle to Eye for an Eye by Mobb Deep, Nas and Wu-Tang.
Wow.
I did a joint to Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. I did Drama Setter. I remade Drama Setter by Tony Yayo and Eminem and Obi Trice. Wow, I did so much.
You just did a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, he be working.
Yeah, so this mixtape is going to be 25 tracks. It's going to be free to download. But there's also a song on there that I produced that's talking about the sign of the times, and it's called Recession. That song is probably the most important song I wrote since In Your Face and Plandemic, and because if you ever heard me, I did a song called In Your Face in 2012. It's my biggest song probably that I've done. I have to perform that everywhere I go. And the content on there was relative to what I was saying was going to happen. Recession is pretty much the extension of that. And I talk about things that's going on, financial collapse, the disease. I don't want to say it. I talk about the what I think the government is doing and what higher ups in government are doing. I talk about how to prepare yourself on the third verse. You know what I mean? So it's called Recession. That's actually out now to listen to. It will be out on that mixtape. But it's going to be on that mixtape for a limited time because it's going to be on a future album as well. I have songs with that Genius produced called You All Need Practice, just me talking crap. You know what I'm saying? I did a song over Speechless that Nas did on Magic. I did a freestyle over Monkey Bars from if you know who Sean Price. If you're into hip hop, you got to know who Sean Price is. He did a song called Monkey Bars. You know what I'm saying? And I did that. I did a lot of joints to some Magic tracks like 4016 freestyle. I did Joe Black freestyle. So that's what you're looking forward to when you hear that mixtape. So that's coming out January 1st, 2024. It's going to be the first release of the year. I don't know how many CDs I'm gonna release this year coming, As long as I'm allowed to release them, I'm going to release them. And I'm also working on more stuff. I got an album coming out May 23rd of next year, which is called G.O.D. Greatness Over Dominance. And I'm producing the whole album. It's already done. I just gotta, put things together. I already got the cover and everything. There's a promotion on my Facebook for it where you hear one of the tracks, and it's gonna give you an indication of what to expect. You know what I mean?
Right. Last question. I should have asked this earlier, but I wanna kind of end on this note. Out of everyone we lost, I know who touched the loss that touched me the most, but and it was more recent. True Boy the Dove is the one that probably hit me the hardest. Mm-hmm. Out of everyone we lost, which one hit you the hardest and why?
Out of everyone, as far as music,
that has passed away.
Wow.
Within our industry, our culture, which one hit you the hardest and why?
The one that hit me the hardest the most was Michael Jackson back in 2009. And the reason why is because I grew up, I was born in 79, grew up in the 80s. That's all you heard, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is one of the reasons why black artists are played on MTV, VH1, and other stations. And he loved hip hop as well. You know what I'm saying? So he was my biggest one. That kind of touched me a little bit because, like, as a kid, you grew up Michael Jackson, Beat It, Thriller, Remember the Time, which is my favorite video, Black and White, all of these different videos, and all of these, he actually changed how videos were done and how music was promoted and how music was marketed and how he performed. He was a performing master, you know what I'm saying? But I want to say, other than Michael Jackson, was Aaliyah. Aaliyah was one of my favorite female artists. She was the same age as me. You know what I'm saying? She would have been 44 this year. And I think that we lost a great female personality in R&B because of her. And that, like, to me, that touched me because I thought, like, every time you watch a Aaliyah interview, you see how nice of a woman she was. She was a nice woman, and I don't think that she deserved what she got as far as that accident. That's a tragic way to go. And I was like, I was kind of devastated with that. There's so many of them, though. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, I felt bad when Pun died. I was in the studio when Pun died. You know what I'm saying? But those biggest ones were Aaliyah, Michael Jackson, Fred the Godson hit me too, because of the situation that was happening at the time of COVID. He died of COVID. So it just, like I said, it can't even just be one. It's like so many. But the biggest one obviously was Michael Jackson. Left Eye, the way she passed, that sucked. You know what I'm saying? It's like, of course, we all know about the Tupac and Biggie story. Especially, I felt like Biggie didn't deserve that. The way he got killed, Pac didn't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the stuff they was into, nobody deserves to get murdered like that. Big L. Big L was a surprise, actually. I when I heard about that, it kind of surprised me, like Freaky Ty. When Freaky Ty got killed, that surprised me. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. So there's so many, man. It's not even just one. I mean, all of them affected me. This kind of like at different levels. But yeah, the biggest one was definitely Michael Jackson because he's the reason why a lot of us even like music. You know what I'm saying? Like for like if you're a Michael Jackson person, if you're even with Prince, like I was affected when Prince passed because I didn't know why he passed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know he was doing like it was like Prince. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many, but like definitely those big icons. It affected me. Michael Jackson, that because I was a kid listening to these guys, and now they're transition. So yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, listen. If you've been tuning in the whole time, Hopefully you can take away something from everything that you have heard. If you need to play this thing back, play it on back. It is all good in the hood. But I want to take time just to say thank you to AMB for taking the time out to vibe with us tonight. For being a great friend, great brother. And let's keep it 100. Me and this brother have had disagreements. But as men, we work those disagreements out and are able to still do what it is we love to do. And the respect for each other has never gone away. It's only been strengthened and furthered and all that good stuff. But his work regimen speaks for itself. And if you have time to listen to his present catalog, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of records, do yourself a favor and listen to any of his records, whether it's his first stuff or the stuff that's out now or anything in the middle. If you want to hit me up, I'll give you my 20 best AMB records. Some of them are the records I played tonight. There's just so many great records. We talked about the Master Steel record that he did, which is one of my personal favorites. New York State of Mind is another one. We on Top is a great record. There's just so many dope records. We could be here all day speaking on the greatness that is AMB, but his catalog speaks for itself. You've heard the man speak from his heart. And if there's any other doubts that you need to see why he's a certified MC and someone that is just speaking the truth day in and day out, well, tell them how they can find you online, so they can get more teachings. How can they reach out to you via the streaming world out there? How can they find you on social media?
So all you got to do is Google African Man Born, right? And once you Google African Man Born, right, it's going to show you everything. But I'll tell you what they're going to show you. It's going to show you pretty much the streaming from Spotify, African Man Born. It's going to show you Apple Music, African Man Born. It's going to show you my TikTok, African Man Born Music. It's going to show you my Instagram, African_Man_born. It's going to show you my Twitter or X account. That's going to be AMB, African Man Born, or AM Blade. It's going to show you my Facebook, African Man Born Music. It's going to show you my website, www.africanmanborn.com, which will link you to all of my music. I'd rather people go to my website if they want any of my music and get it from there. If you want to download it, you want to buy it, that's where I would rather you go, but you can stream it if you want. It's on all the major platforms, from Tidal to Apple Music to Amazon to Google to Deezer to all of these things. It's on there if you want to just stream it, but if you want to buy it or download the albums, you can go right on my website. If you want to get the mixtapes, all the mixtapes are free anyway, so you can go right on there and get it. You know what I'm saying? So like that new mixtape, the Wu-Tang joint, get that. Get both Wu-Tang joints. Dedication to them. If you know anybody from the Wu-Tang Clan that would like to hear the dedication to them, play it for them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it was for in the first place. I would rather people go to AfricanManBorn.com and get that, but you can Google me and get and hear everything. Even see the videos, and the podcast stuff is going to be coming out. I'm putting out a website for all of my podcast material. AMB TV channel.
Okay, all right. Busy man. And for those that don't know, the legendary Inspector Deck lives in Boston. So if you see Inspector Deck, let him know about AMB. All right, he's out there.
Oh yeah,
he's out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end this segment, this vibe session. Thank you, AMB, for taking the time out. We're going to actually end while we sign off. I'm going to let Challenge play with the lyrics in it, so y'all can get a little taste. To radio personalities and everybody out there, support your local artists, support your local artists, play their music. This is why they make it. Let's really care about our local talent. Wherever city you're from, support your local artists in that city, and take time out to learn a new place, a new person that's not in your city that you may vibe to. You never know. You never know. That man might be in your city one day, and you can say you heard him right here or on another platform, whatever the case may be. But we are going to sign off tonight. This is African Man Born. Check him out, AMB, on all social media platforms. Google African And Warren, you will find them. And again, if you can't, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to get in touch with them because I know them personally. All right. We're going to end right now with Challenge. We're going to let this record play. I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. Thank y'all for coming out. For those that celebrate the holidays, happy holidays. For those that don't, enjoy the remaining 2023. And we're out like that. Let's let the song play. AMB, salute. Let this record play. All right, y'all. We are out. I'm signing off. God bless you. Let's let this record play.
That's a mission in itself. You are so soft. You ain't bringing any bars. You ain't pulling from the stars. You don't recognize yourself. How you think you winning, God? Nah. You better sit down. I'm holding the crown. Warrior prince. You a devil giving off a stench now. Clean your rack. Write some real shit within your raps. I'm destined for this. You forcing it and sounding whack. Your activities are blacks on blacks. Blacks on crack. Dusted in your mental relapse. Trying to be a rap king, but your lyrics are trash. I hope smash on these devils with a lyrical blast. To protect the real culture with the spiritual facts, delivering that right knowledge to these wrongful acts of devilish raps, oppressive and dishonoring your tracks. You on drugs, homeboy, let me free you from that. Yeah, who want a challenge for the throne of the king? Who want a challenge for the throne of the king God? Who want a challenge for the throne of the king? Yo, who want a challenge for the throne of the king God? Who want a challenge for the throne of the king? Yo, who want a challenge for the throne of the king God? Who want a challenge for the throne of the king? Who want a challenge for the throne of the king God? Yo, rhyme